Welcome to Minggu Pusat Sumber 20, where we explore the wonders of European mythology and make learning more fun together. It's an honor to have you here at this wonderful virtual platform. In spite of the coronavirus pandemic, we're back again with our annual event after a year hiatus. Stay tuned for many exciting activities that await you. Now, as per customary, let us do a little bit of singing activity to start this very event. That's right. We're going to sing Lagu Negaraku, Lagu Negeri Selangor, as well as our school anthem. So without further ado, let's get started. Your kindness and patience are much appreciated. Due to some unforeseen issues related to my internet connection, pardon me for not switching on my camera. Now, before we proceed to our main agenda, I would like to invite our most esteemed headmaster of SMK Damansarajaya to present his speech and thereafter officiate MPS 2021. Encik Ahmad Ezzat, the stage is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, our Master of the Ceremony today, MC today. Is it Lai Hon Win? Is it? Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. Okay. And then good afternoon and salam sejahtera to everyone. because of this situation, the current situation of the pandemic COVID-19, that means we have to meet in the cyber, online, because we cannot meet physically, and also the FMCO also continue until 12th of July. So with this current situation, all the activities for the physical activities has been banned, and without any circumstances of getting of COVID-19. So we still proceed with our program, and I would like to congratulate to all the committee members of Pusat Sumber, and also the teacher advisor, Ms. Monica, and all the participants who involved in this program. And as you know, last year also we didn't do much during the Minggu Pusat Sumber, and hopefully this year with the team of the methodological, the team that been chosen by the committee, hopefully can be conducted, will run smoothly and very well. And I would like to say thank you for inviting me to participate in this participate and officiating this event. And hopefully during this COVID-19, all the librarians will do their job, even though you cannot do physically, but also you can do online, and you meet each other. Even though last 2 weeks, if I not remember, we already installed 17 new elected librarians, and hopefully they also can participate and contribute to the activities. And I think at this moment, I cannot say anything. You just participate all those activities. Make sure all the students can participate in the activities. Even though there is no collection of income, but maybe we can create some creativity among the students, okay? And make sure there are no student left behind. If they have any problems getting the material from the library, maybe you can introduce some of the e-learning or e-library, so that the students, your colleagues, have the access of material for or the reading material for them. Okay, I think with that, I, Ahmad Ezzat Ismail, the principal of SMK Damansara Jaya, launch, we call officiate the Minggu Pusat Sumber in the year 2021. Thank you very much. Okay, bye. I think the audio is not there, is it?
Thank you, Encik Ahmad. I hope
Okay.
you have a pleasant day ahead. If you so wish, you're welcome to stay back and watch the whole event. Now, allow your host to briefly introduce himself here. My name is Hon Win, currently a Form 4 student studying STEM. I have a keen interest in traveling and reading Chinese literature. And my all-time favorite quote will be, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." To achieve something, we must at least be willing to walk our very first steps and continue moving forward. So what do I mean by that? Now, shall we proceed to our appetizer, or should I say a question, before we move on to other things? Have a look at this picture. My question is, What is your impression on history textbooks? Now, you might be thinking, oh, what a silly question. It's a very boring subject. It's another subject that centers around fact memorization. Am I even going to use it in the future? Well, you're right. It is indeed a tough one when one does not realize the purpose of learning it. So let us discuss about the primary factors that affects our perception of learning. We call that relevance. Remember, you don't learn something just to know all its facts, but to think about the world in a different light. Learning enables us to connect and integrate with society better. If we go beyond the general presumptions of learning, we'll soon realize that learning can be stress-free and more meaningful. So how do we establish relevance in learning? Well, the answer is straightforward. Passion. Even the slightest spark of motivation, it gives us a sense of fulfillment and allows us to venture deeper into our interest of study. To be able to continue doing something for the rest of your life requires that kind of passion. And this leads to our vision of this annual event. We hope to cultivate a stress-free approach in learning through what we call internalization. A thorough understanding comes naturally when we engage in learning more mindfully. Second of all, it's fine to be a slow learner as long as the learning is persistent and productive. Because being slow simply means that we're giving ourselves time to relate and retain the knowledge in a pace we find comfortable. And last but not least, we would like to promote lifelong learning. Apart from formal education, everything around us can be a learning subject to further improve ourselves, as long as we have an open and accepting heart. Now, to be truly immersed in our theme this year, let us sit back and enjoy a drama performance voiced over by some of our librarians. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely excited to watch it. So without further ado, shall we begin?
Long before the creation of humans, a war broke out amongst the Greek gods and the species of giants called Titans. But a Titan named Prometheus, who had the power of foresight, prophesied the defeat of the Titans by the Greek gods. He then told his brother,
Brother, I have foreseen the defeats of the Titans at the hands of the gods. It is wise for us to join them.
The two brothers approached the gods, and just as Prometheus foresaw, the Titans lost the war and were destroyed by the gods. The gods who won the war were now called the Olympians.
You were wise to join us in this war. As a reward, you both shall be responsible for the creation of life on Earth.
Prometheus and his brother then went to work, using clay to create the natural life on Earth. Prometheus started working on creating the animals and beasts of Earth.
Animals and beasts are to be feared in the mortal realm. Hence, to some I give strong jaws that will pierce through meat. To some I give flight. And to some I'll give sharp claws that will tear through flesh and skin. The bear shall be given thick fur, thick enough to keep them warm in the winter. To fish they shall be given scales, and the ability to move through water with ease.
Prometheus, on the other hand, created the humans in the very image of the gods. But because Prometheus had given away all the gifts and attributes to the animals, he thought that humans should be given some form of protection. He then went to Zeus and requested that humans should also be given some form of protection, but Zeus despised humans.
These humans that you created are to remain mortal and worship the inhabitants of Mount Olympus from below. They are to beg for help in order to survive the harsh winds and chilling cold without our help. Now, go and figure out how sacrifices were to be made for the gods.
Later on, just as Prometheus was thinking about how sacrifices were to be made, he had an idea that would give humans some form of advantage.
If I were to split a bull into two bowls, I shall house the flesh of the animal in the first. Then I will put the bones in the second, assuming if the bowl Zeus picked is what the gods will receive as sacrifices from the mortals, the other bowl would be what mortals would receive. If I were to fashion the bowl of bones with a layer of fat and cover the bowl of meat with unappealing organs of the bull, Zeus, without a doubt, will fall for my trick and choose the bowl containing bones.
He then presented the two bowls to Zeus.
I've prepared two sacrifices. Pick a bowl of your choosing and the other will be given to the humans.
Just as Prometheus predicted, Zeus chose the second bowl, thinking that what he thought was a best portion, was outraged at Prometheus's deception after discovering the bones under the meat.
I have been deceived. I shall strip humans of their resources and shall never be granted the use to harvest fire.
Fuming, he struck lightning over the humans, terrorizing villagers and restricting the use of fire.
Humans do not deserve fire. Humans no longer deserve warmth and light during the dark winter.
Prometheus, refusing to see his creations void of resources, decided to scale up Mount Olympus and steal fire from the workshop of Hephaestus and Athena. Prometheus brought fire down and gave it to the humans. Humans, who have regained the most important element for civilization, slowly advanced. When Zeus saw the humans harvesting fire for their own use and dominating the natural order, he was furious and demanded for Prometheus.
You dare steal the tools of the gods and give them to the humans. Take him away and chain him to Mount Caucasus and have a giant eagle feed on your liver.
I was then bound to a cliff for eternity. Every evening, an eagle would fly to where I was and where I was bound and eat my liver. It hurts, but I could never die from it because I have become immortal. And by dawnbreak, my liver would go back, only for the eagle to return at sunset.
Even facing this eternal torture, Prometheus never regretted his actions because he knew what he did sparked the flame for generations and civilizations to come.
Wow, thank you for such a show-stopping performance. I'm sure everyone here enjoyed it as much as I did and learned a lot about the creation of the world. By the way, we're terribly sorry for any technical mishaps just now. Now that we've got ourselves into the mood, let us move on to the main course, MPS 2021 online exhibition. For that, I would like to invite another fellow librarian to take over the agenda. Let us welcome Jaden Young to the stage, as he will be leading everyone here through this virtual exhibition. So I'll be signing off temporarily for now, and I hope you will find the information that we will share beneficial. All right, see you soon.
I'm Jaden and I'll be serving your main course. So let's move on to the highlight of this entire MPS, which is the online exhibition. We will be exploring the European mythology, and here are the table of contents that you'll be learning. So first of all, we'll be diving into Baltic mythology, followed by Slavic and Celtic mythology, Roman mythology, Norse mythology, Greek mythology, and lastly, Germanic and English mythology. Before we dive into our first segment, let me remind you that after every segment, there will be a Q&A session. So, if there will be a Wheel of Misfortune segment whereby we will randomly pick people to answer our questions. And if you manage to answer the questions, you will be able to gain extra Koku marks for this entire online exhibition. So kick back, enjoy the show, and remember Take some notes so that you can answer the questions if you were to get chosen. And with that, let us start with our first segment, which is Baltic Mythology.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I would like to introduce you to Baltic mythology. Let's start off with some basic information. Baltic mythology was formed by the pagan gods, beliefs, and traditions that were popular among the many Baltic tribes that live in the territories occupied today by Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, part of Poland, and part of the Persian Germany. In the picture on the left is Dievas, the god of origin and everything that exists. Legend says that he created humans accidentally as they were born from the little piece of dirt that fell off his face while he was washing himself. When Christianity came, his name became a synonym for the Christian god, and till today it means god or deity. While Dievas may be a supreme god, Perkunas is the most popular god in the Baltic mythology. Perkunas, the thunder god, is the one that rules the Baltic Sea with the power of his axe, thunder, and lightning. This god also has a remarkable resemblance with the famous Norse god of thunder, Thor. Romuva is the contemporary continuation of the Baltic pagan religion. Practitioners of Romuva claim to continue living Baltic pagan traditions which survive in folklore and custom. Romuva is a polytheistic pagan faith which asserts the sanctity of nature and ancestor worship. So remember the Baltic tribe territories? Well, first we will take a look at Latvian culture. Latvian culture is one of the oldest surviving Indo-European culture. Much of its symbolism, like the Perkon cross or the Thunder cross, is ancient. Latvian mythology is a set of paganism beliefs reconstructed from written evidence and folklore. In the picture is Kobat, a warrior character in Latvian mythology. Born as the son of a man, he has supernatural strength. After being dragged to hell by a witch's curse, he had to serve the devil as a slave, which he then defeats. In ancient Latvian mythology, there are three common signs that are most used by Latgalians. The first one, as you see in the picture, is the sign of the god. Usually, it is a triangle or hook upside down. When placing it vertically, the top of the hook will point towards the sky. It marks the sky, the manpower, also light and wishes to reach the sky. Next is the sign of the Mara. Mara is a symbol of the material world, defender of women, thought giver and ruler of earth and underground. Lastly, we have the sign of Laima. The sign of Laima is proved to be the oldest of signs known in Latvian culture. It is the symbol of life and the seasons as well as divine fortune. Laima is known as people's life path giver. In folklore, there is the being that chooses everyone's destiny and look for it is done as expected. Laima represents a special kind of gods of destiny.
Now we'll move on to Lithuanian mythology. Although the Lithuanians converted to Christianity in 1387, elements of Lithuanian mythology managed to survive into the 19th century. Many of the earliest written sources authored by foreigners and Christians only briefly mention the Lithuanian gods. However, in the 16th century, the pagan religion received more attention from authors, but often their accounts were confused, contradictory, and heavily influenced by various religious agendas. Due to such difficulties obtaining data, there is not much information on Lithuanian gods. However, here are some that we managed to piece together. Firstly, there's Asuyani, or the divine twins who put the chariot on the sun, and are known as the Vedic Ashwins. Both names derive from the same Proto-Indo-European root for the word horse. Asuyani are represented as pulling a carriage of Saule, known as the sun through the sky. Next we have Osrine, the morning star, a goddess and daughter of God. She is the goddess of morning, beauty, and youth. Alternatively, her name was given as Osra, known as dawn. Next we have Bangputis, god of seas and storms. He is two-faced like the Roman god Janus. He has a beard, wings, and two faces. He is commonly portrayed as having a fish in his left hand, a utensil in his right hand, and a rooster on his head. Bangputis' role is to ensure cleanliness in the earth's waters. Next, we have Perkunas, the common Baltic god of thunder and the second most important deity in the Baltic pantheon after Devas. In both Lithuanian and Latvian mythology, he is documented as god of sky, thunder, lightning, storms, rain, fire, war, law, order, fertility, mountains, and oak trees. Perkunas is commonly depicted as a middle-aged man armed with axe and arrows, riding a two-wheeled chariot harnessed with goats. Now we'll move on to the heroes and heroines of Lithuanian mythology. First, there's Pachauta, the legendary princess of Karnataka. She is the mother of Princess Kukavatis, who is a descendant of the Roman Duke Palaemonas. The people worship her both as an idol and as a goddess. Next, we have Druid and Cassites, who are heroes of Lithuanian legend, which subsequently became popular mostly because of poetic interpretation by Myronis. As the story goes, a goddess fell in love with a young fisherman called Cassites. The two stayed together in a castle underwater. However, when Perkunas found out about this relationship, he blew up the castle. Luckily, Druid managed to save Cassites. Next, we'll talk about the elements, celestial bodies, and natural phenomena in Lithuanian mythology. Lithuanian mythology is rich in gods and minor gods of water, sky, and earth, like Benputis, Laumi, and Zemina. Lastly, we'll go on to the Lithuanian myths. Many Lithuanian myths and legends did not survive as Prussians became Germanized and their culture became extinct in the 18th century. That is all, and thank you for your time.
Wow, that was a very thorough explanation of Baltic mythology. I'm sure all of you have definitely learned something from it. And now we will be moving to our Q&A segment for Baltic mythology. But before that, before all the chaos begins, we will be choosing our first winner of the Wheel of Misfortune. Let us start. Our first person is Mr. Isaac Gunn. So, Mr. Isaac Gunn, what is Perkunas the god of?
Lightning, thunder, and storms, I think.
And that's correct. Perkunas is the god of thunder. Congratulations. And now we will be having our second winner. Let us start. And our second winner is Miss Mandy Holt. So, Miss Mandy, your question is, what is the symbol of the material world? Miss Mandy, are you here? Well, if you don't respond, I'll be moving on to the next winner. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll be moving on to the next winner. And our next winner is firstly, what is the symbol of the material world? Miss Shireen, are you here? Well, and is Miss Shireen here? Well, it's okay. If Miss Shireen's not here, I'll just review the answer for this question. And the answer is the symbol of Mara. And with that, we have concluded our first Q&A session. Now we will be moving on to Slavic and Celtic mythology. So kick back and enjoy the show, and remember, take notes because we'll be having a Q&A session after this too.
Now we'll be moving on to Slavic and Celtic mythology.
The World Tree or the Axis Mundi is a sacred oak tree that is incredibly important throughout Slavic mythology. It is divided into three parts, each part representing a different realm. At its roots is Nauia, the realm of the dead and the underworld. After death, Slavics believed that the soul left the body and wandered Jauja for 40 days, often in a form of a bird. They would visit the places they did in their life and torment those who wronged them. At the end of those 40 days, they would follow the flow of the river to the Small Dina River. The Small Dina River was the Slavic version of the river Styx, which is a river in Greek mythology which serves as the bridge to the world and the underworld, and burned with fire. It stood as the entrance to Naua and was guarded by a Smich, a shape-shifting dragon of Slavic mythology. The creature's purpose is to prevent both demons and the living from entering the underworld. The trunk of the tree is Jauja, the realm of the living. The gods oversaw Jauja distantly. Sometimes they would intervene directly, but it's often thought in Slavic mythology that the gods kept their distance more than the great ones. Many gods are thought to have lived throughout Jauja. The world of the Slavics involved many dark and distant forest spirits alike, and these were the homes of demons, witches, spirits, and gods who aren't in Praia. Lastly, among the branches lies Praia, the realm of the gods. There is often thought to be chaos attached to the realms of Jauja and Nalia. This makes Praia the realm of order. Perun was pictured as an eagle who among the oak's branches, looking down upon the other realms from Praia. He is the chief of the gods. Though not much known is about Praia itself, Perun's role as the bringer of justice has a role to play there. Now we'll move on to the Slavic deities. Firstly, there is Perun, god of the sky, thunder, fire, law, and war. He is the highest god of the Slavic pantheon and the ruler of the living world, sky and earth. He is often symbolized by an eagle sitting on top of the tallest branch of the sacred tree, from which he keeps watch of the entire world. Next, we have Veles, who is seen as the mythical antagonist to Perun. The reason for this enmity is due to Veles stealing Perun's son, wife, and cattle. Although in particular myths he plays a negative role as bringer of chaos, Veles is not seen as an evil god by ancient Slavics. In fact, the rivalry between the Perun and Veles is not seen as a battle between good and evil, but rather it's the opposite of the natural principles of earth and water, which is Veles, against heaven and sky, which is Perun. Next, we have Lada, goddess of love, beauty, harvest, fertility, and death. She is the patron of weddings and is often called upon to bless newly married couples along with her masculine counterpart, Lado. Next, we have Devana, goddess of the wild, nature, forest, hunting, and the moon. She was first mentioned in the 15th century by an author who goes by the name of Jeanne de Laux, who compared her to the Roman goddess Diana, who herself is the goddess of wild animals and the hunt. Next, we have Zoria, goddess of dusk and dawn and daughter of Duskborg. Her main responsibility is to open the gates of her father's palace in the morning, to let him create dawn and travel through the skies, then to close the gates once it's dusk. Lastly, we have Jarilol, the god of vegetation, fertility, and springtime. He is the 10th son of Perun and was born on the last night of February, which was the festival of Veljanok, the Great Night. However, on the same night, Jarilol was stolen from his father and taken to the world of the dead, where he was adopted and raised by Veles, Perun's enemy.
I'm going to share about Celtic mythology. Celtic deities is Bridget. Bridget is the goddess of learning, healing, and metalworking. Dafda, the god of life and death. Danu, the goddess of fertility and mother of the Tuatha De Danaan. Epona, the goddess of fertility, water, and death. Lug, the god of the sun, war, and healing. Morrigan, the goddess of war and death. Next, we are moving on to Irish mythology. The first one is Banshee. It is written in Irish as Binshee, known correctly as the woman of death. It is said that if you hear her wailing and shrieking, that there will soon be a death of someone you know. She cries to warn the family of upcoming death. Leprechauns. Leprechauns or Lethbrogan are the cultural symbol of Ireland, with their name translated from the word shoemaker. They were said to roam Ireland before humans, with a unique head and red hair. They are well known for being untrustworthy and mischievous. The Dullahan. It is better known as the Headless Horseman. It is depicted in Irish mythology as a headless rider on a black horse, carrying their head in their arm. Moving on to Cornish mythology. First one is Boka. Boka is a male sea spirit, also known as merman, that inhabited mines and coastal communities during storm. Giant. Giant, a humanoid being of superhuman size. Its most notable appearance is from the fairy tale object The Giant Killer that takes place in Cornwall. Pixie. Pixies are generally benign, mischievous, short of stature, and childlike. They are fond of dancing and gather outdoors in huge numbers to dance or sometimes wrestle through the night. Knocker. Knockers are short, human-like creatures with an proportionately large head, ring skin, and white whisker. That is all for today. Thank you for your attention.
And with that, we have concluded our Slavic and Celtic mythology. I'm sure all of you are now have a better understanding of Slavic and Celtic mythology. So now we will be moving on to our another Q&A segment, and obviously we will be starting with our favorite part of it, the Wheel of Misfortune. So let us begin. And our winner is Adam Limcat. So, Mr. Adam, which realm is the realm of the living? Mr. Adam, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alright. Which realm is the realm of the living?
I'm not quite sure.
I'll give you a hint. It starts with J. It's okay. If you don't know the answer, I will just review the answer. And the answer is Jawia. And we'll be moving on to our second question. What is another name for Buka? And now let's spin the wheel of misfortune again. And our winner is Shulek. So Shulek, what is another name for Buka? Mr. Shulek, are you here? Well, three, two, one. It's okay. We'll spin the wheel one more time and then see who's the lucky winner this time. And our winner is Carmen. So, Miss Carmen, what is another name for Buka?
Merman.
That's right. It's Merman. Congratulations. So, now we'll be diving into Roman mythology. And for our Percy Jackson lovers, especially people who love the series Mount of Olympus, this will definitely be up your alley. So kick back and enjoy the show.
Roman mythology. Roman mythology is the body of traditional stories pertaining to ancient Rome's legendary origins and religious system. It is a combination of beliefs, rituals, and the observances of supernatural occurrences by the ancient Romans from early periods of time. The ancient Romans had a rich and interesting mythology, although it was derived from the Greeks. There were many famous myths from Rome, such as the story of Romulus and Remus and the history of Aeneas. The Romans are polytheistic, which meant they worshipped many gods and goddesses. They also believed in divination, astrology, and magic, such as spells and omens. Furthermore, they believed that animals had special powers and tried to harness them through sculptures and images of those animals. Gods and goddesses. The Roman gods are a group of gods who ruled after the overthrow of the Titans. The Romans and Greeks shared similar stories but had different names for their gods. First, we have Pluto. He is the ruler of the underworld, who is considered the giver of gold and silver, and the brother to Jupiter and Neptune. It is believed that uttering his name will bring death. Next, we have Ceres, who was the goddess of agriculture and grain. She is the sister of Jupiter and the mother of Proserpina. Ceres was a kind and benevolent goddess. Proserpina is the daughter of Ceres. She is the goddess of agriculture. This is Jupiter. He is the chief of Roman deities, ruler of the light and sky, son of Saturn, and the brother of Neptune and Pluto. His sacred animal is an eagle, and his weapon is thunderbolt. Juno is the wife of Jupiter. She is the goddess of women and fertility. Mars, on the other hand, is the son of Jupiter. He is the god of war. Up next we have Vesta, who is the sister of Jupiter. She is the goddess of hearth and home. Last but not least, we have Neptune. He is known as the ruler of the sea and is the brother to Jupiter and Pluto. His weapon is a trident.
Now let us continue with the common practice in Rome. As you can see on the slide here, the Romans often sacrificed to the gods, believed in some superstition, pray, swear, or make an oath, and hold religious festivals. Sacrifice was a fundamental practice in Roman ceremonies, as the Romans believed that they would have fortune if the gods were happy. There are two types of sacrifice: human sacrifice and animal sacrifice. The Romans back then usually sacrificed cattle, sheep, and pigs to the gods by burning them on the altar. Human sacrifice back then were rare, and deaths were only recorded in gladiatorial contests and theatre. Gladiatorial contests were first introduced to Rome in 264 BC in honor of the dead. At first, the contestants were volunteers who enact mythical struggles, and death was not common. Later, slaves and criminals were used in the contest and sacrificed to the manes or the soul of the dead on behalf of the deceased. Back then, criminals were killed in a theatrically entertaining way where they were expected to play a role. The idea was usually to provide Romans with a spectacle that would both entertain them and demonstrate the power of the emperor. The Romans believed in different omens of fortune and misfortune. For instance, Picking up a discard horseshoe or a woman combing their hair with the spear of a dead man will grant them good luck. And the phrase bona salus is a type of blessing is typically used as a blessing when someone sneezes. And in case of bad luck, one should never enter a house with their left foot first. Now let's move towards the topic prayers, vows, and oaths. Every sacrifice and offering to the gods require a prayer. Without a prayer, a vow or oath was considered useless. The prayers were often said as a community and led by the priest. Prayers had to be very specific and exact. If any mistake was made, the prayer had to start all over again, or sometimes the entire festival had to be repeated. In honor of the gods, festivals were celebrated throughout Rome, and citizens had to close their businesses during such religious ceremonies. Generally speaking, the Romans offered sacrificial meat in most of the festivals. Instance of the most common festivals celebrated back then were Agonalia and Adonia, as shown on the screen. Agonalia is a festival where Romans offered figs, dates, and honey sealed in white jars to the god Janus. And during Adonia, female members of the household would plant the garden of Adonis, which was predominantly composed of fast-growing plants. For 8 months, the women were mandated to take care of the garden before abandoning it. Next, we will have a look at historical artifacts and books. The first one is the Portland vase, as you can see here. It's a two-handled glass amphora that was created between 1st century BCE and 1st century CE. It has a cameo-like effect decoration and was once broken in 1845 when smashed in the British Museum, but now it's restored and one of the finest masterpieces of Roman art. The vase is not only pretty, it also tells some stories. The first scene was a young man holding the arm of a woman sitting on the ground. Above the woman is Eros with his bow and a torch in his hand. The second scene on the other side of the vase shows 3 figures sitting on a rock with a background as a tree. Some have suggested the scene with Eros shows Mark Antony and Cleopatra, while the reverse scene had Augusta consoling Octavia with the Roman goddess of love, Venus. The Metamorphose is also known as the Book of Transformation. It was a poem written by the Roman poet Ovid. It comprised of 11,995 lines, 15 books, and over 250 myths, and was first published in 8 BC. The life-size Baroque marble sculpture on the right is Apollo and the Queen. It was created between 1622 till 1625. It depicts the climax of the love story of Apollo and the Queen in Ovid's Metamorphose. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.
And with that, we have concluded the exhibition about Roman mythology. I hope that all of you have learned something from it. Now, we'll be moving on to our favorite segment, which is the Q&A segment. And obviously, if you have a Q&A segment, you got to start with our Wheel of Misfortune. So, let's see who's the lucky winner this time. And our winner is Fiona. So, Miss Fiona, name 3 Roman gods. Is Miss Fiona here?
Yes.
Yes. Please name 3 Roman gods.
Jupiter, Pluto, and Mars.
And that is correct. Congratulations. So now we'll be moving on to our second question, which is The metamorphosis is also known as, and our winner for this time is Arena Vitra. So, Miss Arena, do you know the answer for this question? Is Miss Arena here? Three, two, one. It's okay. We'll be moving on. We'll be choosing another winner, and let's spin the wheel. Our winner is Mr. Adam Linkett. Is Mr. Adam here?
Yes.
Do you know the answer to this question?
No. No.
It's okay. I'll give you a hint. It's something related to the word transform. Did you get the answer?
No.
It's okay. Well, the answer for this question is the Book of Transformations. Uh, Now we'll be taking a dive into Norse mythology. You may know that it may seem a little distant to all of you, but let me tell you, if you're a fan of the Marvel Universe, you will definitely know some of the gods mentioned here. So kick back and enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, today we are going to share about Norse mythology. So what is Norse mythology? Norse mythology is the body of myths of the North Germanic people, originating from Norse paganism that still continue after the Christianization of Scandinavia and into the Scandinavian folklore of the modern period. Next is about cosmology. There are 9 realms of the Norse universe, that is Asgard, Elheim, Helheim, Jotunheim, Midgard, Muspelheim, Nidvalur or Svartalheim, Niflheim, and Vanaheim. Vanaheim is one of the 9 realms within the Norse cosmos tucked into the branches of Yggdrasil and is the world of the Vanir gods. The Vanir are a second tribe of god within Norse mythology that exists alongside the Aesir of Asgard. Midgard. Midgard, also called Mannerheim, means home of man. In Norse mythology, the Middle Earth, the abode of mankind. It is made from the body of the first created being, the giant or Gelmir. Asgard. Inside the gate of Asgard is Valhalla. It's the place where half who dies in battle will go for the afterlife. The other half goes to Folkvanger, which is ruled over by the goddess Freya. Muspelheim. It is a hot, bright glowing land in the south, guided by Surt, the fire giant. Next is about God. The first one is the god named Bragi. He is the god of pottery but of Valhalla. He was the son of Odin and the husband of Idun. The second one is the god named Loki, god of mischief, fire. He had the ability to change his shape and sex. Now moving on to main ideology. Among the most widespread deities were the gods Odin and Thor. This world was inhabited also various by other mythological races, including giants, dwarves, elves, and land spirit.
Next are stories about Norse mythology. Loki's myth, how Loki gave the gods their gift. As a lark, Loki cut off the long grown hair of Sif, wife of Thor, one night while she slept. In his rage, Thor demanded that Loki replace the hair, or else he would break every bone in Loki's body. Loki traveled to Nidavellir, the land of the dwarfs, where he found 2 dwarf sons of Rowdi. They agreed to fabricate hair from gold, as fine as Sif's own hair. and with the magical ability to grow on her head. Once completed, they decided to make additional gifts to please and placate the gods. Loki was so pleased that he declared the sons of Ivaldi the most clever of smiths. The two dwarf brothers Brok and Ichi overheard. Brok wagered to Loki that Ichi could make 3 items that surpassed the 3 that Loki held. Loki agreed to the wager, with the stake being the loser's head. Brok worked the bellows while Ichi worked the forge. Ichi reminded Brok that the bellows must be worked continuously without interruption to ensure success. While Brok pumped, Loki changed into a fly and tormented Brok in an attempt to force him to stop, and thus ruined the feast. Brok was able to resist Loki's torments, while Ichi made Galnsbursty, the enormously fast golden ball for Freyr, and while Ichi made Draupnir, the gold arm ring for Odin that dropped 8 similar rings every 9th night. But while Ichi was working the iron for a hammer, Loki strung Brok above the eye, causing a torrent of blood. Brok stopped pumping for only a moment to wipe away the blood, but the damage had been done. The hammer Mjolnir was still processing its magic, was short in the handle. Despite the mishap, Brok was still certain of winning the wager. Together with Loki, the dwarves traveled to Asgard and presented their treasures to the Aesir. The gods agreed that Brok had won the wager. Loki fled at thought of losing his head, but was overtaken by Thor and returned to Brok. As Brok approached to take Loki's head, Loki pointed out that while Brok had claimed on Loki's head, he had none on Loki's neck. The Aesir had to agree. Brok tonight, full of vengeance, decided that since Loki's head was his, he could stop Loki's guilt talk. Using Ichi's awl, Brok sewed Loki's lips shut with a leather thong.
Now moving on to historical artifacts of Norse mythology. Thor's hammer. Mjolnir is one of the most fearsome weapons. After the target is hit, the hammer returns to Thor's right hand all by itself. The hammer can send out lightning bolts. This hammer can be used to kill and destroy, but also revive people or animals. This hammer is also used in sacred ceremonies. Rune lore, the magic history and hidden codes of the runes by Eggert Thorson. Rune lore is divided into 2 parts, both of which occupy roughly half the book: historical lore and hidden lore. The section on historical lore gives a history of the origins, development, and use of the runes before the Viking Age up through the modern runic revival. This section relies heavily on the author's excellence in runes and magic, his PhD. A particularly delightful chapter in this section is Rune Poems, where Thorson provides translations and discussions of the rune poems, one of the most foremost primary sources of our knowledge of the runes today.
That's all we have for today.
Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you.
And with that, we have concluded our Norse mythology segment. I'm sure all of you have noticed that some of the MCU characters have appeared here. And let me tell you this, they have been inspired by these mythological stories. Sorry. Um, with that, we have concluded our Norse mythology, and now we will be moving on to the Q&A segment for Norse mythology. And Miss Yenzi, you have been chosen to be the person who's gonna answer this question. So, what is the name of the god of poetry and bard of Valhalla? Is Miss Yenzi here? Three, two, one. All right. So, is Miss Yenzi here? It's okay. I'll be opening this answer to any volunteers. So, does anyone want to volunteer for this question?
Okay, then I wanna answer.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Bragi, is it?
All right, for that, I will announce that Yishun, you got that correct. And now our next question goes to Miss Diviana. So Diviana, what is the god Loki the god of? Is Miss Diviana here?
I can't remember.
It's all right. I'll give you a hint. He is. It has something to do with heat. Do you know the answer?
Is it thunder? Is it thunder?
Not really. It's something. It's also essential for cooking. Do you know the answer now?
Fire.
Yes. The answer is he's the god of mischief and also the god of fire. Right. And with that, we have concluded our Q&A segment for Greek mythology. Sorry, for Norse mythology. And now we will be moving on to Greek mythology. This will definitely be up the alleys of everyone who loves Percy Jackson and have read Percy Jackson since young. So kick back and enjoy the show.
What is Greek mythology? Greek mythology is the body of myths originally told by the ancient Greeks. The genre of ancient Greek folklore, gods, heroes, and rituals of the ancient Greeks. Main ideology and beliefs. The Greeks has many gods. These gods were quarrelsome, unforgiving, jealous, vengeful, spiteful, sinful deities. However, they are portrayed to be physically strong, beautiful, and intelligent. They live at Mount Olympus, Greece. Greek gods and deities family tree. The Greek gods are believed to have been descended from Kronos and Rhea. Zeus, the god of the sky, lightning, thunder, and justice. Symbols are thunderbolt, eagle, bull, and the oak tree. Children are Aries, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Dionysus, Hermes. He is the ruler of all gods. Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes, floods, drought, and horses. Roman name is Neptune, one of the three most powerful Greek gods. Symbols are trident, dolphins, and horses. Hades, the god of the underworld, death, and riches. He is often portrayed with his three-headed dog Cerberus. Roman counterpart named Pluto. Symbols are pomegranate and a chariot. Greek mythology cosmos realm. In Greek mythology, the cosmos consists of three realms: the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. The heavens are where the Olympians live. The earth is where humans and animals live, and the underworld is where ghosts, spirits, and Hades lives. The heavens were held aloft by the four great pillars, each ruled by a pyramidal giant known as a Titan. There are four pillars and a central. The West Pillar. The West Pillar was protected by the god known as Lepidus, was the Titan of immortality. East Pillar. The East Pillar was protected by the god Krios, the god of constellations. Central. Central to these four great pillars sat Mount Olympus, home to the Olympians. North Pillar. The North Pillar was governed by Koios, who was a master oracle. East Pillar. The East Pillar was home to Hyperion, who presided over the heavenly light. Greek mythology cosmos, Earth. The world below heaven is known as Earth. This realm was the physical embodiment of Gaia, an earth goddess. The care of the plants and animals and were closely associated with nature gods such as Hermes, Dionysus, Artemis, and Demeter.
Greek mythology cosmos, underworld. The underworld, ruled by the god Hades, lays below Oceanus, which is ruled by Poseidon. The fate of three individuals are determined: one who lived the wicked life, one who led an ordinary life, and one who achieved an heroic deeds during their lifetime. Elysian fields, reserved for the heroic mortals and demigods. Asphodel meadows, a foggy realm reserved for souls who were not particularly good or bad. Tartarus, a deep abyss for giants, titans, and monsters. Ancient temples in Greece.
We're looking at the Parthenon. This is a huge marble temple to the goddess Athena.
We're on the top of a rocky outcropping in the city of Athens, very high up, overlooking the city, overlooking the Aegean Sea.
Now, Athens was just one of many Greek city-states, and almost every one had an acropolis, that is, had a fortified hill within its city, because these were warring states.
Artifacts. Marble metope from the Parthenon. God from the sea, Zeus or Poseidon. The Siren Vase. Famous stories in Greek mythology. Origins of humans, humanity. Clash of the Titans. Prometheus bound. Greek mythology in popular culture. Hercules. Battlestar Galactica. Xena, warrior princess. Dungeons and Dragons. God of War. Thank you for your attention.
And with that, we have concluded our exhibition about Greek mythology. I'm sure all our Percy Jackson readers are definitely having a trip down memory lane. And now shall be moving on to our Q&A segment. And obviously, with a Q&A segment, you've got to spin the wheel again. And our winner is Miss Hannah. So, Miss Hannah, how many pillars and central were mentioned just now? Is Miss Hannah here?
Yes.
Okay. What is your answer?
4 pillars, and
Four pillars and?
one central.
And that's correct. They all have 4 pillars and 1 central. Congratulations. Now we will be moving on to our second question. Our second question is, what are some of the symbols that represent Zeus? Our lucky winner for this question is Mr. Adrian Pan. So, Mr. Adrian, what are the symbols that represent Zeus? Is Mr. Adrian here? 3, 2, 1. That's okay. I will be opening this question to volunteers. So, who would like to volunteer for this question?
Is it Thunderbolt?
Yes, and this is?
Alicia.
Okay. Yep, the answer is Thunderbolt, and other answers are Eagle, Bull, and the Oak Tree. And that is all for the Q&A segment for Greek mythology. Now we will be moving on to our final mythology, which is Germanic and English mythology. But before we dive into that, I have a question for all our Percy Jackson readers. So, who is the father of Percy Jackson? Any volunteers? Does anybody remember who is the father of Percy Jackson?
Poseidon.
Yes, who's this?
Renatan.
That's correct. The answer is Poseidon. Alright, we will be moving on to Germanic and English mythology. This is definitely a trip down memory lane for me because it does tell stories which I've heard when I was younger. So kick back and enjoy the show. And with that, we have concluded our final exhibition, which is about Germanic and English mythology. I'm sure some of you have taken a trip down memory lane regarding these childhood stories. So now, we will be moving on to our final Q&A segment. The first question is, name 2 examples of deities that they believed in. And as always, let's spin the wheel of misfortune. Since Diviana has answered before, we will be choosing another winner. Yes, Miss Jessica. So, Miss Jessica, name 2 examples of deities that they believed in. Is Miss Jessica here? Three, two, one. It's okay. I will open this question to any volunteers. So, who would like to volunteer for this question? Any volunteers?
May I try?
Yes, sure. Is this Eon?
No, this is Jonathan.
Oh, this is Jonathan. All right, go ahead.
Odin and Nar.
Yep, that's correct. All right, we will now move on to our second question. So, name two notable figures and legends in Germanic and English mythology. And as always, we will now choose another winner. And our winner is Miss Gwen. So, Miss Gwen, what are the two notable figures and legends of Germanic and English mythology? Is Miss Gwen here?
Yes.
Yes, do you know the answer to this question?
I'm not sure.
I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with a king who pulled a sword out of a rock. Do you know the answer, Miss Gwen?
Is it King Arthur?
Yes. Do you remember anything else about King Arthur? It's okay. If you remember King Arthur, it's fine, and I'll give it to you. The correct answer is Beowulf, King Arthur, and the Knights of the Round Table, and also Robin Hood. And with that, I conclude your main course for this year's MPS online exhibition. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I sincerely hope that my hosting was well enough for you guys to feel engaged and happy throughout this entire segment. Thank you, and see you next time.
Hi, it's me again. First and foremost, I apologize for the background noise if you're actually hearing any, as the weather is getting kind of terrible. Anyhow, thank you so much to everyone involved in the preparation of this virtual exhibition. It is really insightful, and I'm sure everyone here has learned something useful throughout the session. Just a note of reminder though, it is technically impossible to be experts of a subject in such a short amount of time. Therefore, you're always welcome to explore deeper into the theme that we discussed today, as long as you have the passion for it. Remember, learning is all about enjoyment, so take your time, and we assure you that you will soon attain what you desire through your continuous efforts. Now, don't leave just yet, because we still have desserts for you, which is our MPS 2021 sales. You might have seen a Google form that is forwarded to your respective classes, in which you may place your order for your desired items. Well, for this year, we'll be selling various badges, which are actually designed by our fellow librarians for this very event. Still not convinced? We're selling keychains and zodiac necklaces as well. And for their pictures, ta-da, aren't they just beautiful? Especially the necklaces. They're just the perfect gift for your friends and family. But not to worry though, we have all 12 of them, which in other words, you may even get one for yourself too. And I know what you're thinking. No, they're not expensive at all. The prices are in fact quite affordable. So after you've placed your order and made your online payment, we will directly send them to you after school reopens, which hopefully will be around September. Thus, we finally reached the end of this event. And honestly, I still have many things that I wanted to share with you. For many a time, I think of learning as going on a climb up the mountains. The path is not linear, and there are just so many ways to reach the summit. As you ascend, we hope you can listen to the ambient sounds of nature, inhale the faint sweetness of fresh air, and simply let the breeze lead you through this fulfilling journey. Remember, it's not about how much you've traveled, but how you feel during your travel. Only then will we harness the best within ourselves and ultimately find learning to be a pursuit of pleasure in our lives. Now, before we end this ceremony, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of you. Each of your presence has truly enlivened the ceremony. Speaking of truth, I'm quite satisfied of my first attempt in hosting an event. It has been an experiential learning opportunity to really get myself out of my comfort zone. I couldn't have made it without you. Again, we sincerely apologize for any technical mishaps throughout the event, but most importantly, I hope you stay safe and healthy as always, and we will see each other very, very soon. My name is Hon Win Lai, your host of today's event. Thank you so much for coming. 感谢您 and bye bye.